Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind Podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Monday. It's April 17th. It is 2023. We have a nice 9-game MLB slate to talk about here on today's podcast. I'm not going to rant about the 3-6-40 games that are not included in this slate. My rant is over. I've said my piece. I don't understand why it matters if it's 5 games or 11 games and why they're not adding these. But anyway, hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. Joined today by my good buddy, Will Priester, ChiefJustice06. Chief, what is happening, my friend?
Listen, I'm excited, man. I'm good. It's this late. I'm happy to be here. Let me just say that. I think this is going to be a good one. Not that the others have not been good, but this is going to be a good one. For sure.
The slate is a doozy. There are so many ways to build on this slate. So I do Sirius XM for the RotoGrinders show on Sundays, and I've already kind of talked about this slate and just kind of going through this slate on XM with Dean earlier. It's just like, man, this slate, there are a lot of ways to approach the slate. And I mean, that's what slates are really fun. So I'm excited to break it down. What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Thanks for hanging out with us in chat. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind YouTube page. And if you turn on notifications, you'll know when we go live. Most of the time, it is 10 p.m. on the Eastern, so East Coast time. So if you want to hang out with us live for the show, I try to answer as many questions as I can in chat as we're going. And I mean, listen, we got a little group that hangs out with us all the time, and they have a great time in chat. So come join the group. Again, I mentioned this on Friday. I'm going to say it again in the comment section on RotoGrinders on the podcast page. I will be putting a link in there for a Morning Grind game, and you can join the Morning Grind League on DraftKings and play along. It's going to be like a $5. Probably do like a 30-man, and if it fills early in the day, we'll increase it to 35, and we'll keep going, and we'll go. But we're going to have some fun with it. So that's it. That's all the housekeeping stuff. We got 9 games. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Let's jump in and talk some baseball. We get started here with the Philadelphia Phillies. They had a good weekend. What did they score yesterday?
God.
A bazillion runs.
They scored 9 runs in the first inning. And I knew they weren't going to let Luis Cessa come back out. And they let him come back out. Stevie, he ended with 3 innings pitched, 14 hits, 12 runs. It was insane. I said, what in the world I think what happened was he gave up so many runs in the first. They were like, well, we kind of can't go to the bullpen right now. And he just let him eat away a couple more innings. Yeah, the Phillies had a big day. Big day.
I mean, at that point, don't you just let him go out? If you don't pull him in the first when he's getting pounded, I mean, what's the difference of letting him go out and throw a couple more innings? But anyway,
yeah.
Phillies and White Sox 7.5 total in this game. The Phillies a -126 favorite. Zach Wheeler, Lance Lynn. Let's get started here with Wheeler. What are your thoughts on him going up against Chicago?
I think he's just okay today. Definitely not at the top of my list, but not at the bottom either. So he's kind of in the middle, I think. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, and I think that would give me a little bit more consideration. But all in all, he's okay. I don't think he's at the top though.
My biggest concern, I mean, outside of, like you said, the 9,600 is a tough price tag on a slate like this. We have DeGrom for a few $100s more going against one of the worst offenses in baseball right now. So, I mean, that is the argument for Wheeler in a nutshell. But I mean, if we look a little bit further, like he's struggling a little bit with command to start the season. He's walking guys at a much higher rate than we're used to for him in general. I mean, this is a guy that had a 6% walk rate last year. So, the walk rate being up a little bit concerns me. Hasn't really had the dominant strikeout stuff. Here's the thing about Zach Wheeler, though. If he is going to be low owned and they do end up rolling this lineup out that has 7 righties, I think he's playable in tournaments. Whether you pair him with DeGrom or you pair him with somebody else, if they roll that right-handed heavy lineup that they roll out, I mean, you're really worried about like Sheets. I'm not. Colas. I'm not. So I think Zach Wheeler could be like a lineup ownership type of play. So I don't want to like write him off because I do think this is a potential get right spot. The White Sox are a low walk rate team. So I could see this being like one of those spots where no one's talking about Zach Wheeler. He gets a really good lineup and he just goes out and he throws like 7 stellar innings in this spot. So for that reason, I want to leave him in my thought process. I don't know if he'll be in my player pool at the end of the day, but I want to see what the ownership in the lineup looks like. Lance Lynn on the other side of this game, I mean, another guy that's very splitsy, right? He really wants to face like right-handed heavy teams. And I mean, they have enough lefties. Lance Lynn is a guy that, I mean, he dominates righties. He struggles with lefties. His strikeout stuff he's just kind of reinvented his game. Finally had like a really good outing. His biggest struggle so far this season is he's allowed 6 home runs in 3 starts. What are your thoughts here on Lance Lynn?
My thoughts are he's Zach Wheeler for a cheaper price tag today, generally speaking. But and for what it's worth, I will add this. I guess this little tidbit. I do like Wheeler today. It's just I think DeGrom and Gausman are better, so I think I'd play them together versus playing Wheeler. And that's really my synopsis on him. I think Lynn is playable at 8,100, but I don't know if I'll end up with him either. Because it drops off really fast on this slate in terms of pitching. I feel like I'm going to be committed to the guys up top mostly, and then I'll figure it out from there. But Lynn, I guess in tournaments, if you're trying to mix guys in, Lynn is definitely a mix in. But I think he's more lineup dependent than anything. He gets 6 righties, you're probably in on that.
All right, let's talk bats in this game. I mean, we just kind of went over that both of these guys are pretty extreme splits guys. Is there anything standing out in this Philly lineup for you?
Trey Turner is matchup proof. If you want to, if you want to
6,100 though, man.
But I know, but that I guess that's what I'm saying. If you want to spend up for Trey today to be extremely different, they could score 3 runs and he could have 15, 20 fantasy points. Like, it's possible. So I do like Trey. Just, man, he's so good. He's got so many opportunities to score points. It's incredible. So I don't mind that angle. But listen, he is going to see. I mean, really, I think if you're probably one off it, it's probably Kyle Schwarber because Lance Lynn is going to have some trouble. You talked about the home run troubles. We already know that he has had lefty troubles throughout his career. Schwarber's probably actually the ultimate one-off play today. It's probably a strikeout or a home run. It's one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, Schwarber's the guy for me. Like, he's 330 ISO against right-handed pitching since the start of last season. We got a guy that struggles with left-handed power bats, and we have a guy that's struggling with home runs this season. Like, it all kinds of sets up for a big game from Schwarber. If you want to go cheap, Bryson Stout has been hitting leadoff for Philadelphia against right-handed pitching, and he's 3,600, second base eligible. I mean, this guy, he has a hit in every game this season, right? Like, I thought I remember reading that. I'm pretty sure
he was in. Yeah, for I think he has.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has a hit in every game this season. So
definitely got one today.
Playing the platoon. Yeah, he had like 3 hits today. I mean, everybody got a hit for Philadelphia today. And then, like, everybody in the stands got a hit too. It didn't matter what Cincinnati was throwing. So,
fun fact, and then I promise we'll speed up. JT Real Muto was the only person that did not get a hit in the first inning after the lineup turned over. So he didn't get one in the first inning at all. The lineup turned over, and I think there was an out recorded, or the 2 more outs were recorded before it got back to him. But like, they turned him over. It was crazy. It was crazy.
All right, other side of this game, White Sox bats. I mean, I want to talk Wheeler with lefties, and Sheets is just not going to be high up on my list today. He's 2,600. He's cheap. Potentially hits cleanup here. He's just not a guy that I see myself playing a lot of. but he would be the guy that I'd play if I was going to play anybody from the White Sox.
Yeah, I don't think I played any White Sox today. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like with Moncada out, Anderson out, like the White Sox lineup is not great. I mean, it just kind of goes back to that conversation about could Wheeler be the guy that is the contrarian pivot off of this next guy? We got Texas at Kansas City. We got DeGrom against Lyles. Sorry, Lyles. This game has an 8 total, and the Rangers are a 210 favorite. We'll start with Jacob DeGrom. I mean, everything we've seen now, like we talked about how he got a little unlucky in that first start against Philadelphia, but we've seen the strikeouts. We've seen the dominance. He just faced this team, 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts, 25.6 fantasy points. I mean, I hate pitchers going back-to-back against teams, but, I mean, Kansas City is the second worst team in baseball to start the year against right-handed pitching, and Jacob DeGrom, when healthy, is the best pitcher in baseball. I'm not overthinking this spot. I'm going straight back to Jacob DeGrom in this spot.
Plug it in. Plug in Jacob DeGrom. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I really like, at the end of the day, I don't see a reason not to have some exposure. I mean, I'm not fading him by any means. You can obviously
I'm going lock button. I'll just tell you right now. Lock button city.
I mean, he probably ends up 2 of my 3 teams for me, so I don't know if I like go 3 of 3, but I think there's a lot of options on the slate pitching wise, and I mean, he's the best option for me. I mean, it's as simple as that. I just don't want to overthink this spot. Jordan Lyles on the other side of this game. Any interest here in Lyles?
No.
Yeah, I mean, Lyles is a guy that, like, one point of his career was really solid, but it's just not there anymore. 5.1 xFIP since the start of last season, 18.7% strikeout rate, really struggling with left-handed bats. And I think Texas has way more righties typically than lefties, but I still think, like, they're going to get to Lyles enough where he's not going to pay off his price tag. I mean, like DeGrom just faced this team. Well, Lyles just faced this team too. He allowed 4 earned runs. He only scored 8 fantasy points. No interest for me in this spot for Jordan Lyles. I do, however, have some interest in the Texas bats. I mean, they're on the road here. You know, Corey Seager is on the IL. Garver's on the IL. So we're getting potentially like a cheap secondary stack here. Like Grossman is 2,700. He's like bounced around in that like 5 to 7 hitting spot range. So don't mind looking at him. Nate Lowe is cheap. Heim is cheap at catcher at 3,200. So I think there's definitely an argument to be made to a cheap secondary Texas stack against Jordan Lyles here.
Yeah, I'm in on it for sure. You know, I think this is a good spot for this team. And I don't, Stevie, I don't know if they go overlooked per se, but I don't think they're going to have the ownership as some of the other teams we'll talk about. We already know Coors is on the slate, so everybody's going to be up in an uproar about playing Coors bats. So I will say, I think you talk about Grossman. I don't mind him. You know, perhaps Jankowski cracks the lineup as well. He'll be in play. I really don't mind anybody. Marcus Simeon at the top, he's expensive, but he's another guy that, in a sense, just continues to churn fantasy points. So I'm in on these guys. Heim should be in the lineup as well. You know, he's another guy I think we can plug in there. 3,200, not too expensive at catcher. I don't think that's too expensive for you. So he's another guy. I think even if you don't go full stack, a mini stack of Texas is not a bad idea today. A little 3-man, I think that's big time in play against Laos.
Yeah, and then as far as the Kansas City bats go, I mean, you're facing DeGrom. You don't really want to pick on him. And we've been talking about like how Texas bullpen projected to be a bottom 10 bullpen. Well, as of right now, they're a top 10 bullpen. So like you're not even getting that bad bullpen effect here for Kansas City. So like Texas early in the season still, like we don't want to like look into bullpens too much, but right now they've been a top 10 bullpen. worst 5 bullpens in the league right now: Chicago White Sox, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Oakland, and Kansas City. So back to that Texas point. Not only are you getting Lyles, you're getting a bullpen that has struggled to start the year. So just throwing that out there. Do you have any interest in the Kansas City bats before we move on?
Nope.
All right, we're moving on. All right, we got Arizona at St. Louis, 8.5 total in this game. Cardinals, a 158 favorite. We got Kelly and Flaherty facing off against each other. Any interest here in Merrill Kelly?
No.
A really tough spot. I mean, St. Louis, I don't see myself playing a lot of pitchers just in general against St. Louis this year. I feel like you're going to win more than you're going to lose.
Look,
by not picking on St. Louis this year. This team's just, it's such a solid lineup. There's no real weak points to the lineup. So, I mean, there's some strikeouts, a little bit more than last year, but Kelly's a 22% K rate guy, really struggles with left-handed power bats. And they have enough lefties now where in the past we're like, all right, pitchers that are good against righties, you could play them against St. Louis. Well, now they're like playing like 4 to 6 lefties every day. And
now Newbar's in there too because they're sitting Tyler O'Neill. Yeah. So this is a tough spot. I'll give you this quick anecdote here. Well, not anecdote, but quick saying. So Keller from Pittsburgh is like one of my favorite young pitchers for the year. Like, I think he's going to have a really good season. I didn't touch him today against St. Louis. I think he ended with 3 strikeouts. Like that's what you're dealing with when you're playing against this team. And Keller was sitting at about a 30% K rate on the season to start the season. And today, of course, he ends with 3, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm with you. I just don't pick on St. Louis. And, you know, if I get burned, I get burned, but I don't think we get burned here. I think if you leave Merrill Kelly on the shelf, you're good.
All right, let's go to the other side. Jack Flaherty, who has kind of started the season with some big-time command issues.
Oh, God.
13 walks in his first 2 games. Last time out against Colorado, put together a much better start. 1 walk, 6 strikeouts in 5 1/3. I will note, I did a little dive on him because Dean was asking me about Flaherty, and his velocity was back up in that last start against Colorado. I mean, so that's definitely something to note. But, Will, Arizona is the worst team in the league you want to struggle with walks to, because if they get on base, they run. And if you're struggling with command against this team, I feel like we might be in that like thought process of like Arizona might be a team that punishes low command pitchers. And if that's going to be Flaherty this year, I mean, I don't know if I want to play him against Arizona.
I'm not playing him against Arizona. I can tell you that right now. I'm not taking the bait here, Stevie. So here's the thing for me, and I'm so glad you brought this up because his velocity was up, but that's not going to change his location issues. Like, and he still had a walk in that game. Like this past game was about the best he probably could have pitched, and they still pulled him at 85 pitches. Now he went in the 90s. In the game before, they pulled him at 5 1/3. Still gave up five hits. Right? Still had a walk. In the other games, he had so many walks, he wasn't giving up any hits. Like, I don't trust Flaherty here. I know he got 6 strikeouts. Like, Colorado's a team I don't trust. Arizona's a team that I don't think he gets the strikeouts in this game like he got against Colorado. And I'm with you. I think they're going to make him pay if he's having massive location issues. And I didn't dig into their zone swing percentage and stuff like that before the show this time. But the next time I am going to dig into them because I feel like it's kind of like Tampa Bay has changed their approach. I don't see Arizona being a high strikeout team for him today. I think Flaherty's going to have some issues. So I'm not playing Jack Flaherty today.
I mean, we're both kind of on the same page here, and Arizona's on the road. What are we thinking here? The bats are, I mean, they're a cheap stack. I don't know if I full stack them. I know you talk a lot about most of the time you're like a 4-4 type of stack person anyway. I definitely want some exposure to the Arizona side of this game. One, they're on the road, so they're baked into the 9th inning, getting those extra at bats potentially. And 2, no one is expensive. I mean, the most expensive guy is Rojas, who probably has the lowest ISO on the team. So I'm not really missing a lot if I don't want to pay $4,600 for Rojas. What are we doing with Arizona?
Yeah, I definitely think this is a team that you can stack. And Stevie, the thing is, like you said, they're cheap. And me personally, I want to play the big pitchers today anyway, DeGrom and Gausman. Like I kind of just want to go double barrel. So for me to do that, I'm going to need access to teams like Arizona. So I like this team. I like this team a lot. I think they can put on enough a good enough performance on the base paths, and even if they poke through a couple runs early, a single here, a double there, with those prices, I'll take 10 points from Christian from Walker at 3,600. He gets 12. I'm great. 14. It's a party. So I'm with you. I'm in on the Arizona stacks for sure.
I don't want to forget about St. Louis in this game either. I mean, they're really good offense in general, stacked from top to bottom. So, I mean, I could see this potentially being like one of those game stacks that you're playing both sides of. I mean, we don't really love the pitchers from what we were talking about. I don't mind getting some St. Louis bats here.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all either, especially like we said, with no Tyler O'Neill. Now, look, they could very well bring O'Neill back tomorrow. So I think they just pulled him, Stevie, because he was just striking out so much. I think he'd had maybe 8 strikeouts through 2 games or something like that. So I think they just quit playing him for a little while. But if Newt Barr's there, we already know they've got some other lefties. I'm in on St. Louis. You can play the big bats in Goldschmidt and Arenado if you choose, because all the other pieces are cheap enough. So I like Arizona against Merrill Kelly for sure, especially if they have enough lefties.
Yeah, 60 degrees and 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to center. I mean, that doesn't sound terrible.
Yeah.
All right, we go to Houston. Toronto is the visiting team. We got Toronto at Houston, 8 total. Pick'em game. Straight up pick'em game.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look on some books have it as Blue Jays minus like 116, but almost everywhere it's pick'em. We got Gausman against Javier. Let's talk Gausman. He's 10-2. I know you already mentioned him earlier. What are your thoughts on him today?
Yeah, I like Gausman today. Like, look, I am not, Stevie, I repeat, I am not afraid of Houston right now against right-handed pitching. And most people are going to say, what? Listen, folks, Houston, as a team, they're striking out 23% overall. But when you look deeper at the numbers, at least the current numbers that we have, so Dubon just doesn't strike out. He's at like 2%, and Bregman's at 18%. And that's normal. Like, Bregman, he doesn't strike out a lot anyway. Kyle Tucker's at 11. Well, all those guys are, Bregman is part of the old regime. Tucker's part of the old regime. Stevie. Alvarez is at 23, but obviously he's got power, so he can still hit a home run. But these other guys, Stevie, and I was shocked at this one. Jose Abreu, 30% K rate. Unbelievable. Pena, 34%. Hensley, 40%. Myers, 31%. This is insane. So, look, when Jose Altuve and Michael Brantley comes back, this whole thing is going to change. But as of right now, Stevie, Houston's the team I just keep picking on. And you're telling me I get Gausman coming to town today, and I just don't see Houston having a good day. The other thing, Stevie, is Gausman's going to be throwing a splitter enough. Houston doesn't hit splitters at all. Like, it's so bad. So Gausman's really him and DeGrom are just, they're neck and neck for me today.
Yeah, I mean, I think his upside is certainly there in this spot. The Houston team, not the same team that we're typically talking about. I mean, they're 17th in WRC plus against right-handed pitching, but they're at 23.9% strikeouts, like you mentioned. They have a 107 combined ISO against right-handed pitching this season. That's the second lowest in the MLB. Like, we just got done talking about Kansas City. Kansas City, while they rank second to the last in WRC plus, I mean, they have a 125 ISO. This team has a 107 ISO. The only team lower is Washington. So they're just not hitting for a lot of power. Do you have to worry about Alvarez? Yeah, you do.
Of course.
He is a absolute stud. Is Kyle Tucker good? Yeah, Kyle Tucker's good. So I mean, I'm concerned when it comes to those guys, but I mean, Gausman has a 30% K rate against righties. This lineup is going to be right-handed heavy. I like this spot. I'm with you on Gausman. And then the other side of this game, Javier. I mean, Christian Javier has shown big strikeout ability, just in general. And since the start of last season, Will, he has a 38.6% strikeout rate against right-handed hitters. I cannot wait to see what his ownership is on this slate. 9,200. He really hasn't had a stellar game yet. This is a very right-handed heavy team. If Christian Javier is going to be a guy that's lower owns, dude, sign me up for some strikeouts here. I don't know if I play him in DFS, but I'm definitely going to be considering him. It's kind of like that conversation that we were having about Wheeler. I like this spot for Javier. On paper, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, man, this is an interesting one because as of right now, in terms of their team, Houston's not striking out a bunch against right-handed pitching. I think as a team, Stevie, they're around 14-15% if my memory serves me correctly on Houston, at least early on this season. Like, I don't think anyone's really striking out. I think maybe outside of Kevon Biggio, I think he was striking out a fair amount, around 30%. But outside of that, I don't think anybody else is high. And so I guess it's just balancing Javier's upside versus the guys that they're just not striking out a ton. So I think in this situation, you definitely side with Javier. And even if he doesn't pick up, 7 strikeouts, like he could probably go 6 innings, get 5 or 6 here, and maybe not give up a ton of runs if BABIP's on his side. At 9,200, I'm with you. If the ownership's low, I think you take a shot. But I do think with these low K rates, they can negate his upside some.
Oh yeah, I'm chasing the ceiling if he's going to be low owned. Is my thought process here. And like, man, sign me up for getting like a pitcher's umpire in this game. Like, give us a pitcher's umpire. We like Gausman, we like Javier. Give us a pitcher's umpire in this game.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's talk some bats here. Honestly, Javier is a fly ball guy. So, like, looking at Toronto, Bichette and Vlad are 2 guys that hit the ball on the ground a ton. So they definitely benefit from a fly ball guy. So I think those would be where I would go the most if I'm leaning playing anybody here from Toronto. I think this is going to be a pretty low scoring game for what it's worth.
Yeah.
So I'd be taking shots on Bichette and Vlad. These would be like the home run plays I'd be chasing in this spot.
Yeah, I don't hate Chapman either. Like he's close. His ISO is up there right now for the season. He's got a pretty nice walk rate this season as well. Like for Matt Chapman to have a 16% K rate to righties right now should tell you everything we need to know about where this team is, because typically he's in the 20s. So I like Chapman. I think he's got an off chance to send one out of the park today as well. Yeah. So I'm just throwing his name in the mix.
Anything that you like here on the Houston side?
I think you can one off. Alvarez and maybe Tucker, but Houston's a team. I don't think I want to play them today against Gausman. I don't think I want to do it.
Alvarez in his career, even though it's very short and we don't have a large sample size, he has struggled with the splitter. So if you are playing the angle of Gausman thought process and you're knowing that Gausman's going to attack this team, throwing the splitter. I mean, this guy throws his splitter a lot, especially against lefties. He's like 45% against lefties over the last few years. So if you are going to play that like angle, I mean, he could just attack Alvarez with splitter after splitter. And that could negate a lot of Alvarez's upside here. So, I mean, overall, if I'm building 150 teams, I get exposure to this game. If I'm playing 3 like I typically do, I'm probably not playing a lot of bats, if any bats, from this game. So,
yep.
Pittsburgh at Colorado. Here we go. Let's talk about it. 11.5 total. We got Rich Hill, facing Kyle Freeland. The Rockies are a 154 favorite here. Pittsburgh at Colorado. Did I say that? I think I said it, but now that I was like talking about it. So, Rich Hill on the mound going up against the Rockies. I mean,
my God.
Yeah, people are going to like Coors today. They have every reason to like Coors today. It's the best hitting conditions that we have on the slate. We got Rich Hill on the mound. I am not playing Rich Hill today.
Nope. Not doing it.
Yeah, 216 ISO against right-handed hitters, 41% fly balls, 5x FIP, and a under 9% swinging strike rate since the start of last year. So it's been a rough go. Kyle Freeland on the other side of this game, Will. This guy has been running really hot. He is running hot. Good podcast,
he does this
by the
every
way.
year.
Good podcast. Yeah, like his BABIP is really low, and he's just not he's not missing bats, and like it's just being hit to players, and it's tough because like Pittsburgh isn't necessarily the team that is going to like pound a pitcher. So I don't know what to do. I'm not playing Freeland. Let me just say that. I'm not playing Freeland today.
Yeah, I'm not either. And his price is starting to creep up too, Stevie. Like why is he's been 7K all season. Like at some point that's got to come back down.
Yeah, I mean, I looking into his stats and looking into his advanced metrics and stuff, there's no way I'm playing Freeland. He's running really good.
Somebody else got away with something similar to this a couple years ago too. I feel like it was Patrick Corbin maybe, but I don't know if I'm right. But I feel like Corbin was just like when he was in Arizona, like for a little stretch, like he just got away with so much stuff, and then finally he just came back down to earth. And that's what I feel like is about to happen with Freeland here. There's
a blow-up game coming. Like from Freeland, it's coming. My problem is, who do we attack him with on the Pittsburgh side? It's tough, right? Hayes should hit leadoff in this spot with Cruz out. So you get Hayes at 3,800. You get McCutchen. He's 5K. Brian Reynolds is someone that's just hitting everything right now. And they don't. The problem, right? Like the other problem is they don't have a lot of lefties in the bullpen. So like if you're playing the righties to get the platoon, you're likely not going to get another lefty in the bullpen if you do get him out early in the game. What are you doing with the Pittsburgh bats here?
Oh, the X button, Stevie. You know what I'm doing. I'm not playing these. They're like Brian Reynolds warrants the 6K price tag. McCutchen at 5K. I mean, you got Bay at 4K. Like, I get it. Let me say this. I'm not playing Freeland, but I'm not playing Pittsburgh today. And Santana is cheap. I just can't, man. I can't. I think it's other spots I can go. Now, when we talk about the other side of this game, I have a theory.
I will say, like, Connor Joe is cheap, 3,500. I don't mind getting some exposure to the cheap bats. I don't know how much I'm going to go out of my way to play like Reynolds. I mean, I don't really want to play a lot against Freeland, but in the back of my head, I just know that he has been so lucky that it's going to change, and he's going to have like this game, and I don't want to miss it. So that's where I'm at. But I will say, like on the other side of this game, even if the Rockies were not in Coors today, I would be playing Rockies bats against Rich Hill. So I want to play some Rockies bats here.
So today it's not an exception for me, Stevie. Look, man, I'm still most likely going to end up with probably no Coors exposure or very low. Like, I don't know if I stack this game or stack these guys, but Rich Hill's god awful right now. Like, Stevie, his
curveball just doesn't curve anymore, and Stevie, that's what he throws 40% of the time.
Stevie, listen. So the other day, I was actually watching this game because sometimes I actually watch like a full game because I'm like, wait a minute, I just got to watch this for myself. Rich Hill threw like a 71 mile per hour curveball. I said, okay. I said, all right, look, man, folks, I don't play Coors, okay? But I'm telling you, like, I think you need some pieces from Colorado. It'll probably be Crone and Blackman, all the power backs. I think, look, man, I don't like to play Coors, but I watched Rich Hill pitch in this game, okay? It was bad. And if he throws a 70 mile per hour curveball tomorrow, which he will, somebody send it out of the park, Stevie. And that's really my I don't want to say conundrum. I hate playing Coors. I'm not playing anyone from Pittsburgh, but I think I'm going to have to, because I know what's coming. I'm going to have some Colorado exposure, and that's a lot coming from me because I never play Coors. But trust me, folks, Rich Hill is really bad this season. Like, I can't stress enough how bad he's been. I would have some one-off pieces or something, because a couple guys are probably going to hit home runs here. That's my spiel on this.
Oh, buddy. I mean, CJ Crone smashes curveballs already.
I know. It's so bad. Folks, Rich Hill is bad.
Yeah, I really hope we get that like first inning in play runs with CJ Crone. I mean, he's one of my favorite hitters on the entire slate. Like,
in play runs.
He smashes curveballs. So anyway, yeah, I mean, Chris Bryant, CJ Crone, top end plays, and then I mean, I don't mind potentially playing some Blackman. Montero is a guy that has struggled with breaking balls, but Rich Hill's breaking ball just isn't good anymore. So I don't mind, getting some exposure to him and it's kind of seeing who's in the lineup. I mean, the bottom half of this lineup's cheap, so you can kind of play with the lineup and just hope that you can pay up to get Bryant and Crone and then just kind of see who else is in there. So I mean,
I can't stress enough how bad Rich Hill was.
It's a good spot. Pittsburgh bullpen not good. Colorado bullpen not good. I think we're going to see some games with some plenty of points in this series. So, all right, Core's over. Let's move on to Oakland. Man, did you watch that basketball game? Warriors and Kings.
Oh, I know
you had a lot going on this weekend.
Yeah, I was out of town, but my son was watching it like on his phone. So he was just kind of like, kind of giving little tidbits. But hey, man, the Kings are for real. But we knew this; they're a 3 seed.
We did. I mean, they're good. It's going to be a fun series.
Yeah.
Hope Giannis is okay. And John Morant. Both guys got banged up on Sunday.
Tyler Hero also broke his hand today, by the way. Crazy injuries.
What's
crazy?
All right, we got the Cubbies. We got Oakland. And we have a 8.5 total. The Cubs are 142 favorites. Any interest here in the young Hayden Wazinski?
I think I have to, Stevie. Like, he's a guy I've played some this year anyway. And so today you're telling me that I get a chance to take a shot on him against Oakland. Like, as bad as he maybe possibly has looked here, he's faced Cincinnati and Seattle. I'm more than willing to take a shot on Hayden Wesneski today. Like, I'm perfectly fine with it at 6,300.
Yeah, he's my cheap pitcher today. I mean, he's a talented prospect. Oakland's not a great offense. I mean, this is a team that has plenty of strikeout ability. And, I mean, this guy has an above-average slider. So that is going to generate strikeouts. It's coming. Like, the strikeouts really haven't been there yet. Seattle's a good hitting team. The wind was blowing out in that game. He got absolutely smushed and did not pitch well. Pitched his first game in Cincinnati. I mean, he really hasn't had, like, a good spot yet. This is a spot. If he struggles here, I won't talk about him again, but I do think like he's the cheap pitcher today. Like if you're going under 7K on DraftKings today, he's the guy. We're not playing Weathers. We're not playing Lyles. We're not playing Flexen. We're not playing Hill.
Nope.
We're not playing Moeller. We're not playing Peterson. this is the guy, like, if you're under 7K that you're going to take some shots on. And we do have a lot of bats on this slate. We haven't talked about the Atlanta Braves. They're in a fantastic spot today.
Oh, buddy. So, we're on a countdown for them.
I know you did. All right, the other side of this game, Kyle Muller. I mean, this guy he's big time struggling with command right now. This will be his fourth start of the season. We've seen him pitch enough this year to kind of have an idea, but I don't think I want to take some shots on him. What are your thoughts here?
Nah, as my daughter would say, not today.
Not today. Yeah, man. I think your daughter's right. Not today. Not today. I feel like we've seen enough of Muller to know, like, low walk rate guy, like below average strikeout rate guy. Like, he looked like he had promise when was he with the Braves? I think.
Shout out to the Braves front office, man. We just keep making good trades.
Yeah,
good decisions. Gosh.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. His numbers against righties have been really bad. I don't know how many lefties I want to play. He's had some really good pitches against lefties, but let's talk some bats here. Anything standing out to you for the Chicago Cubbies?
So the Cubs, I sneakily like the Cubs today, Stevie, because of this spot. Like, Dansby, I do think Dansby's overpriced for what it's worth. Like, I really think he's overpriced. I don't hate him in this spot here. I don't hate Ian Happ. Like, it's just, I think you can one-off this team. Maybe I don't stack them, but I think I one-off it just to pick up some points. So Muller's going to give up some runs today for what it's worth. It's just, where they're going to come from, who can you string together. But all in all, I do like the Cubs, generally speaking.
Definitely a stack I'm looking at today. Horner, Swanson, Suzuki, Wisdom, Mancini. This team kind of good against left-handed pitching.
Picking up Trey Mancini, I thought, was like the underrated splash play. Like, them getting Dansby was kind of like, oh, we got this. But getting Mancini was like, to me, that was the key. That's.
They quietly just went out and got a bunch of guys that nobody else wanted. Yeah. Let's be honest. I mean, not Swanson. They went out and got Swanson. He got paid. He got his ring already. He got paid. But, I mean, look at the rest of the team. They went out and got some guys that, I mean, where did Jan Gomes, Cody Bellinger, Eric Hosmer, Trey Mancini, so.
But these guys are professionals.
Yeah, I think the Cubs are in a really interesting spot here against Muller today. Yeah. I was talking earlier about, like, bullpens, and Oakland, man, they're a bad bullpen. If the Cubs can get to Muller and get to the bad part of this bullpen early, like, they can keep going. So I think the Cubs are definitely on my list. I don't know if I full stack them, but definitely a secondary type of stack today. Yeah, there isn't a Cub from the championship, I know. All right. Any interest in the Oakland bats here?
Not really. It's just I don't think they're going to punish him. And I know Wesneski hasn't been like crushing it, but I don't think they get to him today. Oakland's been bad. Very bad.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about Oakland in general is they're just extremely cheap. So if you wanted to take some shots, I don't hate it. Brent Rooker is off to a really strong start to start the year, so you could potentially take some shots on him. They're just all really cheap. So, like, if you need like a cheap, like, one or two, like, man, like one off or a 2-man little mini stack or something, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't hate the idea of maybe looking at some of these cheap bats if you're not playing like Wazinski on that team. So, all right, Milwaukee at Seattle. We have a 7.5 total in this game. Burns against Flexen. Brewers a 144 favorite on the road. What are your thoughts here on Burns?
I got to take one more wait and see, Stevie. Burns is not going to trick me into thinking that suddenly he's back. Like, and I'm saying that because he probably had the worst spring training of any actual ace that I feel like I've seen in a long time. And then magically he just comes out against Arizona and mows this team down. Like, like a legit clinic. So, had 3 hits, no walks. I'm going to take a wait and see here again, Stevie. I can't pull the trigger. If Burns at 8,800 is probably the ultimate tournament play if he's right? Like if he's right at 8,800, he can get you 30 fantasy points. I don't know. And I haven't watched any film from that game, Stevie, so I don't know if anything changed in his delivery. So I'm going to take a wait and see approach to try to watch this game and just kind of see how it unfolds. And if it burns me, then I have to get burned.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle's a tough offense, but they also strike out a bunch. I sat here on this podcast, his last start, and I said, let's take some shots on Burns against Arizona. Man, did it ever work out. He was one of the pitchers I was complaining a lot about the 30-second clock. And I think that he got into a better rhythm last time out. His velocity was up a mile an hour, which is huge for a guy that throws hard cutters and hard sliders. So I don't want to say he's back, but he looked great. I watched a lot of that start. He just looked way more in rhythm. He looked more like Corbin Burns. So I think he's still underpriced. I think this is a tough matchup. I'm not going to argue that. Look at the strikeouts here. Suarez, Riley, Teoscar, Clinic, Rodriguez. There's plenty of strikeouts. I mean, is there power? Yes. No one is going to say that Seattle doesn't have power this year. They have plenty of it. I'm attacking the strikeouts here. Again, I think everybody wants to build like a DeGrom Gaussman team today. And I mean, if I played cash games, that is exactly where I would start. I'm not saying that. I just think in tournaments, who can beat them? Well, Corbin Burns can beat them. So I have interest. I think he's getting run support too, because I mean, Chris Flexen's not good.
No, he's not good at all. And look, don't forget about our good friend Wisniewski. I don't think we see it. Well, maybe we might because it's Oakland. But look, I'm with you, man. This is the fade I'm afraid of because he's too cheap if he's right. He's way too cheap if he's right. You know what? I think so. Here's what I'll do. If it's 2-3 entry, if it's single entry 3 entry max, I probably won't do it. I get anywhere near 20 entry max. 20. If I start getting to 20 entry max and 150, he's going to go in the pool. I think he's going to have to, just in case.
All right, we don't want to play flex on the other side, right?
No.
Stacking against him last time out was fun. So I mean, Chris Flexen, he's definitely reverse splits. We've seen it now for years. So I think this is a great spot for a guy like Willy Adames. I think he has big time upside in this game. He's also pretty expensive. Outside of that, I mean, Contreras at catcher, 3,800, under 4K for catcher is fine. Tellis, I know he's reverse splits, but I think Tellis is if you're stacking Milwaukee, getting exposure to Tellis isn't the craziest idea, or Mitchell, because they're cheap. I mean, Milwaukee's cheap overall. If you're not playing Yelich, I'm not playing Yelich. I don't think I played Yelich once this year. I don't think I will play Yelich once this year, unless he is 3,500 randomly. If he gets down to Michael Brantley, because he's the same player as Michael Brantley now. If he gets down to Michael Brantley price, I'll play him. But at this price tag, I'm not playing Yelich. So Contreras, Anderson, Adames, and then like I said, if you want to go down to Mitchell at 3K, I wouldn't talk you off of that. Terang is 2,400 at second base if you want to punt second baseman. So yeah, I want to attack Chris Flexen. I don't think he's good. Will is changing out earphones. Getting it going here. Are we good, Will? Good. I won't let you talk about Milwaukee then. There's nothing worse than when you're doing shows and your headphones die. There's nothing worse when that happens. But can you hear me? All right, you can't hear me yet. All right, let's talk Seattle bats. I mean, again, the Seattle team in general, there's a ton of power in this lineup. Rodriguez is a guy that's hitting with a ton of power. Kelenic is a guy that at one point was like a top 3 prospect in all of baseball. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. And he's crushing the ball. He's doing what we kind of wanted him to do like a year ago. So, Will, if you can hear me, what are your thoughts here on Seattle?
Great. Thank you. I don't know what happened. My headphones turned off. And I was like, well, they shouldn't be turning off because they were at 100%. I think I mistakenly pressed the button, like adjusted it in my ear. And so then you were talking. I was like, so I keep a pair of wired ones for this reason, just in case. But then they turned back on randomly, so I didn't need to plug it in. But about Seattle, I think in some of my non-Burns teams, I take a shot on them. In the event that he's just something screwed up, he's not in rhythm, hasn't found his way back yet to being a true ace pitcher. I think I take a shot, but that's on non-Burns teams, and I'm not stacking Seattle like too deep. But I think, let's say if I'm in 20 entry max, maybe I stack them in 1 or 2, like just in case. If I'm at maybe 150 lineups, maybe I put them in 10-ish, to try to so roughly about 10%, I guess, is what that equates to roughly. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about Seattle today. I don't want to stack them deep, make them a primary stack, but just in case Burns isn't right, I'd like to have a little bit of exposure, because when he hasn't been right, he's had some issues.
Atlanta at San Diego, 8.5 total in this game. The Braves a 154 favorite. Max Fried returning from the IL, pitching here. It was a hamstring injury. It was an opening day injury. So, I mean, I would assume that we don't see like a big pitch count for him here. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to play Fried. We'll talk about it in just a second. I don't want to play Ryan Weathers on the other side of this game either, against Atlanta. But all right. Max Fried, Will, he's 8,100. I mean, super fair price tag for Max Fried. We know how good of a pitcher he is. I looked, and he didn't make any rehab starts. I have a hard time seeing him go like more than 70 pitches in this start. They need arms, man. You're a Braves fan. You watch Braves games.
I know.
They need arms bad.
I wasn't gonna play Fried anyway. But yeah, at 8,100, I can't. And I'm with you. Like Stevie, yeah, I would say 70 is his max. I'm thinking if he hasn't had a rehab start, usually in a rehab start, they go 3 or 4 innings at least. Yep. And he didn't get that. So, God, he might be capped at 60. But maybe that's extreme. But he's definitely not going 85 pitches here. If he does, I don't know what they're thinking. So, I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how he's going to come out and throw 100 pitches. So, while like I don't hate the spot overall against Padres, there's no way that I think you can trust. Like, this slate's really solid when it comes to pitching and hitting. Mm-hmm. Fried getting 70, 75 pitches, just not enough. Just not enough.
Yeah.
Not a ton of power in the Padres lineup for what it's worth against left-handed pitching, and they don't strike out a ton, but yeah. Ryan Weathers on the other side of this game, Will. He has been someone that has tilted me a couple times already this season. He's pitching a little bit above his head. It's coming. We talk about this. A couple of pitchers already on the slate that have run good. This dude has a 13% K rate this season with a 5 xFIP and a 2.7 ERA. He's not missing bats. If you cannot throw the ball past Atlanta, they are going to smash you. 2 pitchers against a team like Atlanta is not going to work. I do not want to play Ryan Weathers here.
Yep, 0 exposure.
Give me the Braves. My favorite stack on the slate.
All day long.
Over Coors, definitely my favorite stack on the slate.
Yes.
Love this spot for Atlanta.
Yes. Push them up. Love the Braves. I think they are going to get some ownership here, though, Stevie. I want to see where we end up.
No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, so I'm not really worried about it. I think along with some of these other hitters, I gotta say, man, Matt Olson's probably one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now, along with a handful of others. I mean, Stevie, every day. I mean, if you're watching the game, it's just excitement. I mean, he went to Kansas City and just single-handedly drove in runs. Like incredible, really. So I like Olson, 5,300. He's one of my top plays on the day. Ronald Acuna Jr., Stevie, feels like he steals a base every other day. Like, it's just seriously, like it's.
All right,
it's
listen, I laugh. I don't disagree with you.
So I'm in. Albies is still very reasonably priced. He's been hitting well too. Considering like just I like this team, Stevie. I don't think we have to. We don't have to really, pump these guys up. I think everybody knows we can play the Braves. I think I saw in the comments somebody saying the next decision we could make would be to, get probably DFA Ozuna. Man, he's long removed from those Miami days where I felt like he hit everything. But they're playing him now just for the outfield. They're not playing him for his bat. So hopefully he can just kind of pick it up a little bit. But Rosario, he should be playing, I think, in this game as well, 2,500. The Braves are just a good team.
I don't think Rosario plays in this game or starts. They've been playing Pilar against lefties. Kevin Pilar is 2,200,
right.
and he's been playing against lefties. Yeah,
you're right.
So we'll see if Ozuna's in the lineup over Rosario, but I think
Ozuna's going to be in there. He's going to be in there for defense.
I think Pilar cracks the lineup here. And then I mean you get Vaughn Gresham at 3,100. So like if you are, I mean you're paying up like in a Brave stack, you're building around Acuna and Riley and Olson. I know it's lefty for Olson. I don't care. Like Will said, he's one of the most locked in hitters at the plate to start the year. 5 home runs already, 20 hits and 64 at bats. Like he's off to a really strong start. So you're building around those 3 guys, and then it's whether or not like you have enough salary to get Albies, or if you need to go cheap. Ozuna's cheap, Pilar's cheap, and Gresham's cheap. Murphy might be that guy that like makes it over Albies for me. Sean Murphy's a really good hitter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. In this spot for sure. Yep.
San Diego, any interest here in the Padres bats?
Look, man, I do actually, Stevie. Here's why though, and I know sometimes I play these interesting angles. You're telling me Max Fried hasn't basically had any rehab starts, which we already know about, and he's got to come out and basically just kind of wing it. Max Fried's a great pitcher, Stevie. Like I actually really like him a lot. He's probably our actual ace when he's healthy. I don't see it, Stevie. I don't see how he goes out here and actually has a good game today. So that's really why I'm interested in just kind of lightly stacking the Padres, because I'm expecting Fried to fail here, which is, I know it's bad, which means he's probably going to throw a no-hitter through 5, but I have to attack him today when I know he's not ready to pitch. Like, he's not ready, Steve. I don't think. Unless other things have happened. I mean, you pitched. You know how this goes. I played second, so I know enough. I don't think he's ready. I don't.
I mean, hamstring injuries are tough. The one good thing about like a hamstring injury is you can still throw flat ground, and you're not putting as much. So I don't think he goes deep. But like throwing the baseball, if his hamstring is not bothering him, I think he'll be okay. So my biggest concern, one, the San Diego pricing is pretty high for like this spot. If Fried is pitching okay and he goes, say he goes 5 innings, right? Because I think that's the likely outcome. If they can get him to 5, I think that's kind of where even if he's at like 60, 65 pitches and he's at 5, I think they're like, hey, let's take this as a win. We'll go back out in 5 days. Atlanta has the best bullpen in baseball to start the season. Like, they have been the best bullpen to start the year. Them and Tampa and Minnesota have been the best 3 bullpens to start the year. So say Fried gets to 5, maybe gives up a run or 2. You get the good part of that bullpen that's been shutting teams down all year. It's tough for me to get behind playing a lot of San Diego bats because 1, Price, 2, Fried is good when he's on, and 3, Atlanta bullpen's been great. So I mean, it's my counter argument to San Diego.
Oh yeah, understood.
New York Mets, Los Angeles Dodgers. We finish it out. Peterson against May, 8.5 total in this game. The Dodgers a 164 favorite. Any interest here in David Peterson?
I mean, look, I've got some. It's very light, Stevie. I don't know if he has as much upside as Wisniewski, and that's where I'm kind of on the fence with it. I'm not afraid of the Dodgers this year. I'm still cautious because they do have some guys that can hit. So I think he doesn't make 3 entry max, I don't think he makes 20 max, but I do think if I'm playing 150, I think I get light exposure to him.
Yeah, I mean, so to give you guys an idea, right? On Sunday slate, we had the Dodgers against Drew Smyly. Drew Smyly threw 5 2/3. He had 3 strikeouts. He gave up 1 run against Dodgers. Yes, JD, Betts, they're good, but the Dodgers are not in a position to take out Muncy and Freeman on a daily basis right now. And honestly, they're playing Outman every day too, and he's been hitting lefties. Can he keep it up at as high rate as he has been? Peterson has a 32% K rate against lefties, and he's a ground ball guy. The Dodgers are not the same Dodgers team. It's really just ownership, right? Like, Peterson is that second guy that's under 7K for me. And if Wazinski gets the ownership and Peterson doesn't, I'll take shots on Peterson. Peterson's a good pitcher. He's a much better pitcher than Drew Smyly, who just pitched well against this team yesterday. Absolutely. So, I mean, you're just worried about the walks. Anytime you're playing Peterson, you're worried about the walks. The Dodgers have one of the highest walk rates in baseball against left-handed pitching. So that's the counter argument to my argument.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed my calling as a lawyer. I got this argument and counter argument thing down. Dustin May. I said it last time out, man. I said that he was running really good, and he finally had that struggle spot against San Francisco. The Mets are a team that even this year, they're not striking out against right-handed pitching, and they're such a tough offense against right-handed pitching. Do they have a ton of power? To be determined, but where they're at right now with strikeouts, they have the lowest strikeout rate again this year in baseball through, what is it? They had 276 at-bats. They have a less than 18% K rate against righties. So I don't think I want to play Dustin May at 8.4K against this offense with all of these other pitchers on the slate that have bigger strikeout rates.
Yep. I'm not playing them at all. I mean, the Mets, they've been a problem this year, even when they're not scoring runs. Like, they're not striking out against right-handed pitching. So I'm not playing Dustin May.
They don't have a ton of power. Is there anything bats-wise here on the Mets that you like?
I mean, nothing specifically. For instance, you've got Brandon Nimmo at 4,200, which is cheap enough to where if he's the last guy in, I don't care. That's kind of how I would treat the Mets today. Escobar hasn't been great. He's usually my guy, man. But even at 3,100, if he's the last guy in, if he's playing, I don't hate it. Jeff McNeil's 37. If he's the last guy in, I don't hate it. That's kind of how I feel about the Mets. But I'm not stacking
it. Yeah, I mean, maybe like you said, one-offs, not going out of my way to stack the Mets. Any interest in the Dodgers here?
I don't ever hate Mookie, man. He could take a walk. He could steal a base or two. Like if there's one guy I play on this team today, it's for sure Mookie Betts.
Yeah, sorry. I was looking at something really quick. I can't remember, and I'm struggling to find it like super fast, but I can't remember if Dustin May is a guy that gives up stolen bases or not. We forgot to mention, like going almost all the way back to a game that we talked about earlier. Christian Javier is like one of the guys you target stolen bases against. So just throwing that out there. Anyway, Dodgers bats.
Just Mookie for me.
Oh, you said that. I'm sorry.
Yep.
All right.
We're good, brother.
Yeah, I mean, like with Will Smith on the IL, with the concussion protocol thing he's at least, 7 days at least. That just takes out one of the right-handed power bats in this lineup. I mean, so at the end of the day, with him out, I mean, Barnes is a defensive catcher, so he got ejected on Sunday.
Clayton Kershaw's catcher.
He is. I mean, he is. So, but yeah, I don't know who they're going to have to call up another catcher, right? Because I mean, they can't just have Barnes, and I think everybody else is down. So with Smith going on the concussion protocol on Sunday, I mean, it has to be Barnes, right? Austin Wins, right? Is that the other guy? I think it's Austin Wins. But anyway, all right. Let's play the morning grind game, and then we will get out of here. Chat says, Will, only one mute button tonight, getting better. It wasn't even a mute button.
Yeah.
It was his ears.
Guys, and look, man, I usually don't mute a lot anyway. Like this was just, early season MLB stuff. Yeah.
All right, let's play the morning grind game. Give me a pitcher under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts today.
Hayden Wesneski.
I like it. I'm going to go Peterson. He muted his ear pod. He technically muted his ear pod. Oh, they got you. Oh, Derek got you. Over 8K to score under 15. Who's your bust today?
Let's go Max Fried.
I like that one. Pitch count is the biggest concern there.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Dustin May. I don't
I like
the spot for Dustin
May. I like
May.
it. Over
4K, not in cores, to hit a home run. Who do you got going yard today?
Matt Olson. Come on, baby. Bring it home. Bring it home.
Right. I'm going to go to the same game. I'm going to go Austin Riley hits his 4th home run of the season tonight.
Like it.
Under 4K to get 2 hits, not in cores. Who do you got?
This one's going to surprise you. I'm going with Mr. Jankowski from Texas, 2,800. One of my favorites today.
I mean, honestly, I have no problems with that at all in this spot. I think I'm off the board today a little bit.
Me too, yeah.
We'll see, but I'm going to go Brian Anderson from Milwaukee. I like the reverse splits against Flexen. Anderson, he's not a bad hitter, man. He's not a great hitter, but he's not a bad hitter. Pretty average. Give me a stack to score 6 or more runs today.
Not even going to go with the Braves. I'm going to stick to a team that we talked about. I'm actually going to go with the Texas Rangers. I think they get the Lyles today. I think
like
they get to them.
Yeah. Going way back to that like early game, again, remember like what we were talking about in that game, but I like that. Kansas City bullpen's really been struggling. I'm going to kind of think the same process, right? I'm going to think a pitcher that has been struggling, a bullpen that's been struggling. So give me the Chicago Cubs to score 6 or more runs today.
I like it. I like it.
Will, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, sir. Listen, I've been having a blast, man. The YouTube chat's been on fire for the Morning Grind Pod. So this is fantastic, guys. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your cousins, aunts, uncles, tell your friends, man. Come hang out with us. Having a ball. Yeah, man, we're having fun. So if you want to have fun with us, make sure you subscribe to the RotoGrinders YouTube page, RotoGrinders Morning Grind YouTube page. We have a separate one that we go live on each and every night, Sunday night through Thursday night. So Monday through Friday podcast slates. We are going to be out of here. I'll be on Grinders Live later. If you want my final thoughts on this slate in general, I'll be on Grinders Live with Dean at, I think, 5 Eastern. So come hang out.
Hope everyone has a fantastic Monday, if that's a thing. We'll be back tomorrow talking more baseball. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you then.